Hello and welcome to a new episode of IMO. Today we're going to be talking about violence in our community. There's a lot of violence going on in the Forest Park section of Springfield. I think you work there, right, Jill?
I work in Forest Park and I live in East Springfield.
Okay, have you seen any of the violence in Forest Park?
I don't think you see it. The former chamber president had said it. If you don't hang around with criminals and you're not out at that time, most of the violence happens in those hours. And it's not, but like recently there was a robbery of $1 from a convenience store in Forest Park. So the crime is there. It's, you know, it's ridiculous. I love Springfield. I own a house in the city. And you obviously work in downtown. I think that the city has a lot to offer, but we're trying to, I think, go at it the wrong way. You know, how to stop the crime. The crime stops with people who know what's going on, but the mayor's trying. Media alert.
Right, so what was the mayor doing?
The mayor is actually got a task force together, a citywide prevention task force, and he was meeting yesterday at Forest Park and going out into neighborhoods and actually making a presence known by the community. Kind of, somebody said this to me once, you take the word neighborhood, if you take the word neighbor out, all you get is the hood. And that's the problem, that's what it's evolved to. If we put the neighbor back in. You know, remember when we were kids? You did something wrong down the street. By the time you got home, your mother wanted to whoop your, you know what. You know what I mean? Because nobody was afraid. People don't do that anymore.
No. I think, too, I live in East Forest Park, and I actually didn't, I had a tiny clue that this was going on. I think one of the crimes happened near Washington School, on Washington Street, and then another one happened on, what is it, Edgemont, or I can't remember, also in Forest Park, rather. I think when you talk about neighborhood, you also have to think about ownership versus rental.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, so it's kind of that lack of investment in your community. And one of the things, there were 2 very young kids that were killed, and so they were automatically labeled gang. And now the parents are fighting back on that. So it's interesting because you're right. If you take away the neighbor, there isn't that cohesiveness, and I think part of it has to do with the lack of home ownership and the incentive to keep your neighbor in particular parts of the city.
My problem though is everybody talks about Springfield like it's this big dangerous, you know, place to live. It's not. I mean, you work in downtown. I am in downtown probably 4 or 5 times a week in downtown Springfield, and there's no need for a bulletproof vest. You know what I mean? My flak jacket can stay at home. It's just, you know, it's like they make it this big thing. If you walk through, I mean, my car was broken into in the Bronx. Does that mean I never go to the Bronx again? No. You know, it's a city. Crime happens. And the majority of the crime that happens, if you break down the statistics, are A, gang related, and B, domestic. It's not random acts of violence, for the most part. There are those random acts of violence, but I don't think that those are the majority of what's occurring. But people live in this fear, like, I can't go downtown and watch a show at City Stage. And you can.
I think also that a lot of children are being more involved too with the violence that's happening. And there was a time where, you know, that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. There was a time when that holds very true. And now it's, you know, if your kid goes outside, you don't have the comfort of knowing that your neighbors are looking out for your kid and you're looking out for your neighbor's kid. It's kind of, you know. So it's sad. It really is.
Remember, Mom used to go outside and don't come back till the street light comes on. Now it's like, go outside and don't leave the front yard, or else. You know, and that's sad. I think. You've got little kids. Would you let them? I mean, I don't know the ages, but you wouldn't let them play outside the confines of your yard, and you don't live in Springfield, I presume, right?
They play outside all day, like 4 or 5 hours a day.
But you let them
out
go
there. But I was raised that way too, and I'm from Oregon, where it's perfectly safe. My mother just said, you in general, you don't trust people. So I don't think it was just that, you know, 30 years ago, it was people were safer. I also think that there's some parents that just inherently watch their kids more, I guess. I don't know. So I grew up that way, and we used to live on a farm too, and still my mother was always around.
That explains so much.
Anyway, my parents were hippies, and I'm very proud of them. Hi, Mom and Dad. But no, I think, you know, I do let my kids play outside because I see there's so many children that are obese and unhealthy from parents being afraid to not let them go outside, or being in unsafe neighborhoods and not being able to go outside. So, you know, there's a lot of different factors that's contributing to violence in our community. And we'll be right back.